Okay, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, good evening.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you.
We are today on Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube Live. So if you be so kind and put in the comment line that you can hear us and see us, that would be great. We have a very interesting team because the year end is very close. So Nika is here. Good evening.
Exactly. We've got some of our
Well,
usuals already in the
yes, thank
audience.
you.
Happy to see you. And yes, I mean, I don't even know how this happened. Yeah, I seriously said to someone, oh, it's going to be 2025. And I said, I remember when it was Y2K, the year 2000 was coming. Everybody was
Wow.
worried about the machines. And all of a sudden, it's 25 years later.
I remember
How did it
I was still, running Czechoslovakia, and I was the whole, night. We were like with the families till the midnight, and then I needed to be in Microsoft Office simply for the
happen? Yeah.
for that
Because
night.
nobody knew,
That
right?
year 2000, nothing happened. It's already so it's 25 years now.
Yes. And this is the amazing thing. I mean, as we start to open up this topic, I feel time has gone faster and faster and faster. And so many of us used to have a year end practice. We'd slow
Right.
down, we'd reflect. And now, especially since after COVID, so many people say, I take this Christmas time, this New Year's time, and I'm just recovering from the pace of everything. I don't even have time to really reflect because I'm so busy just trying to settle again. And what I would say is, and we're going to talk about for the rest of the day today as we kick it off, if we don't slow down and get ourselves intentional again, what happens when we get into 2025 is we start off behind. And that's that constant feeling of being behind. Instead, we're going to pause. Jan and I are going to talk today about how we can start 2025 feeling ahead. So I hope everyone who is here is in the right place. Um, and Jan, I have some surprise reflection questions. I did not tell you in advance. I did not share them in
Right.
advance.
Yeah.
And I did not prepare the answers in advance so
Okay.
that we can also have some fun reflecting for
So,
ourselves live. Maybe just to kick off just a little bit more about the topic and just to get people grounded. Why is it so important that we start with these reflections? Jan and I are always talking about this growth mindset. How can we always be learning? And the thing is, when you reflect back on the year, it's not like, oh, that was good. That was nice. Oh, that was fun. Reflecting back and just looking at memories is good. The intentionality, the purpose of what we want to talk to you about today is about going back and reflecting so that you learn, so that you develop, so that you grow, and so that you set yourself up so that in 2025 and beyond, you're actually moving closer to the direction of where you want to be going. And so this is a very intentional reflection question, set of questions that we're going to be talking about, or practices that we're going to be talking about. And not just, oh, let's look back at our LinkedIn memories and Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram memories. Maybe, Jan, you want to kick it off from your side. What were your thoughts on this topic for reflect, renew,
uh,
refocus?
yeah, what I think it's important, we talk about reflect, reset, renew, right? Um, there is a very important hormone because in general, human beings, we don't like change, right? We don't like change because we like status quo, because change is energy consuming. That's why there are in fact two activities which are consuming a lot of brain power. It's learning, because if you learn, you are by definition out of the comfort zone. You are learning something new. You are like, I now study the prompt engineering, how to prepare perfect prompt for the things like
That
ChatGPT.
is not easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's not that difficult. So that's why that's learning. And then the second one is moving. Basically, it's moving, because there's a lot of coordination what you need to do, and so on. So in general, we don't our brain doesn't like change. Okay. On the other hand, we like dopamine. Okay. we like, if we are praised for what we done already. So dopamine is a reward hormone. It's rewarding you for something you made happen. And more you needed to push against some obstacles on the way, better dopamine you are getting. You can get dopamine just clicking on that screen, but it's easy dopamine and it's contagious, right? It's like if you would take cox or whatever drugs, it's the same thing. It's the same principle. So if you are overcoming, like my tennis players are telling me, if I'm winning in a very tough match, I feel much better than like winning 6-1, 6-0. It's
Yes.
okay. So dopamine is a reward hormone, so rewarding you for what happened. So it's a reflection, in fact. But dopamine is also motivational hormone. So it's about like resetting and renewing, right? Motivating you to continue. Because what we, as Lisa rightly said, we are huge promoters of, growth mindset, which is pretty much like, you are on some journey. You are not fixed on, results. Results are important, but you achieve consistent results if you concentrate on your journey, on your performance. Stoics in all Greece were saying basically control the controllable. You cannot control, if you play tennis, you cannot control the performance of the other guy, performance of the umpire, the wind, the sun, whatever, the weather. What you can control, it's your performance. And it's the same in your life, right? So that's why the growth mindset is like, be better version of yourself like every day. And I think, day is a good, time unit, and the year is a good time unit. Even though some people like, look, if I would, if I would be a regulator who would be able, to change how companies reporting, I would report on a yearly basis, not on the quarterly basis, because it's short-term driven, and you try to make money on like ups and downs. It's clear to me. The game is very clear to me. But if you want to have more sustainable society, yeah, right, you would rather report on a yearly basis, a quarterly basis. It's very short-term, driven. And in companies, they are like, hey, we are here for like long-term success, whatever. Come on, you need to deliver on a quarterly, basis, right? So I think the day is good, you need, and the year is also good, like for reflection, what was done well, where learn, kind of the what should we. I think basically what I do every year. What should I continue? What should I stop? What should I start? Okay. Because to be honest, for example, for this year, I think I should have started, my efforts with prompt engineering, like probably in the middle of the year. I just started in December because I knew that prompt is important, but I didn't know, hey, you can study it, right? It's like, programming or whatever. It's even there is a professional prompt engineer.
Yes, and they're very well paid. Very high demand.
They are very well paid. Just for guys, maybe you are not familiar with the term, but basically, you can create prompt like, hey, if you wanted to organize some wedding, you can put in the prompt, prepare me the wedding like for 30 people. It's okay prompt, but it's not that great. The much better prompt would be like, hey, the wedding will happen. You simply put background around the wedding, more like background information, about how many people will be there, the average age, what they enjoy, whatever, And the best prompt would be like to give background, but also to say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to answer clarification questions. And then AI will ask you, more questions, and you will get more precise, answer. Better, better job done by the AI, right? So that's one thing. I think I should have started, a little bit earlier. But other than that, it was a good year on the sports side and on the business side. as well, right? So what the one thing I want to definitely to start next year, which I was not doing it, to experiment with my avatar, because there's so much on internet. I did already, so I would like to experiment with avatar. We'll see.
You can have a digital twin in the metaverse.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy what your digital twin can go to doctor's appointments on your behalf. The things that it can do.
You just train movement, language, gestures, and you have a twin, and it's pretty good. It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, you can still figure out that it's not, if you know the person very well. It's not, but it's almost real. Almost real.
Yeah, and let's not tell everyone. And one time we do a LinkedIn Live with both of our digital twins and see if anyone could tell
Okay,
it's not us.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
And we've got a comment here from YouTube that it's great to know that you're going to be planning a wedding for 2026.
Yeah.
By the way, fun fact. I mean,
I like wedding. I like weddings as a guest or as a best man, but not necessarily as a planner. Planning.
We thought that would be your next career. You could be a wedding planner.
Yeah.
I have to tell, I have learned prompting, not because I want to be perfect at it, but because I find I can use it more in everyday life. So one of the parenting hack of the year for anyone who's a parent, or you could use this in a relationship too. Dr. Becky Kennedy is the #1 child psychologist at the moment, all the rage, best parenting possible. And when I prompt ChatGPT, I said, act like you're Dr. Becky Kennedy. Here's my situation. How would you advise? And it gives as though I'm getting a one-to-one session, right?
It's called persona. Exactly. You ask AI to predict, to be somebody, to coach you, or to give you advice, whatever. And it works very well.
It's really nice. And then, I work with a startup leader who asked me, how's our new logo? I said, I don't know. And I went into ChatGPT and I said, act like you are, a brand expert who has 20 plus years of marketing experience and analyze this logo. And guess what happens, right? So this is all the fun and exciting stuff that comes starting in 2024, but moving into 2025. For those of you who are saying, okay, I want to up my game for that next level, learning how to use AI means you have, administrative support, help me plan my trip, help me plan my wedding, but you also have a thought partner. How should I handle this? What is this person thinking? How can I go into a negotiation? How can I use this to up your thinking in every situation you're going into, because now you have one-to-one expertise in anything that you want to move forward with. So that's a big part of setting your 2025 goals, is knowing I now have someone who I can have these dialogues with and getting into that habit of chatting with ChatGPT. I love that. One other practice that you did, I wanted to bring up because I love this practice. Actually, for the Jewish New Year, which doesn't happen with this calendar year, it happens usually September-ish time frame.
You've got already, Christmas is already sometime in before the Catholic Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Different calendars, right? So they follow a Hebrew calendar.
There's a different calendar.
And so in the Jewish New Year, they have a tradition. Okay, you celebrate the New Year, it's great. And then immediately preceding, a week or 2 weeks later, they have something called Yom Kippur, which is your Day of Atonement. So actually you go into the day and you think, what have been my sins? What have I done wrong? How have I hurt people in some way? And you ask for forgiveness. And not only do you ask, God for forgiveness, ask God to write you into the book of life for the new year, but you actually go and you apologize to people. So if I was kind of a jerk to my mom, or we had a big fight over the year, this is the time of year where you go and do repair work. And I love this concept of knowing, I'm reflecting, what have I done that wasn't so great? And how do I make up for it? And how do I repair that work? Most people, when they reflect on their new year, they think, what are my goals? What about me? What am I going to do? What's going to be good for me? And this concept of, let me do this in community. How are my relationships? How am I with other people? And how do I repair that so that I have a better future with them? I have a better relationship with them. We've cleared the air. We don't hold grudges. For me, this practice is the perfect place to go before you ever even start just thinking about, what are my professional or personal goals for the future? How do I get my community? How do I get my relationships in a solid place? Because when you're going to do your personal and professional goals, guess what? You need some support. You need those friends and family and relationships there for you. So the first piece that I always do before I even start my new year is I go and repair whatever I need to fix to get my grounding and my foundation good. Once foundation is good, you can really have a strong point to leap from. Most people miss this. So I recommend to everybody, think about, and by the way, I have this practice with my children as well. It's a very beautiful practice for this Yom Kippur. You actually rip pieces of bread apart and you throw them into a moving body of water. So for each sin, you kind of take the sin, you talk about what you've done, and you cast it away, and it floats away in the river. So just like you would have a mindfulness meditation where things float, you also can float away all of that stuff. So you clear whatever baggage you carry, and you're free and lighter to start from. So doing something physical as well as just in your mind or writing, actually talking to people, is a fundamental part of starting that year-end renew, refresh. So you're perfectly ready for that next year.
I have some poem created by AI.
Oh, I love it.
On our team. So it's a short one. In the mirror of time, we softly gaze, reflecting on life's intricate maze. Lessons learned, both joy and pain, a mosaic of love, loss, and gain. Reset the clock, let burdens release, find within the whisper of peace. The future's canvas clean and bright, a chance to paint with purest light.
Wow, I like it.
It's funny because it reflects what you just said,
Exactly.
I just put there, reflect, reset, renew for 2025. Please prepare short poem. That was it,
I love that. They're so amazing what it can put as food for thought for you, right? It's just that starting point, but you take that poem or you hang that up in front of you and you keep that inspiration. I sometimes ask ChatGPT, what's the mantra I should have? Here's my situation. I'm a little bit stuck. What's the mantra I can repeat to myself to get over it? Or what's the expression that the intention I should meditate on? And it's really good at coming up with the core point that I wanted to get to, and then I can move myself forward. I really like that.
I think if you know how to ask, you can have all human wisdom on your fingertips these days.
Yes.
That's the point. This is absolutely amazing. Now let me talk a little bit about kind of my practices. I don't know if those are best practices, but for sure I do it. So what I do basically really like reflection on the year, then like having a 10 maybe 15 days like off. I really do, I mean I'm just with the family, mountains and so on during the Christmas basically, right? And so that I can renew. And but what I do before that, and that's usually the beginning of December, I have usually 6 to 7, I call it big area, where I want to make some huge leapfrog next year. Okay. And I do it, they are represented by the pictures. And I usually am there with somebody I value a lot, and that person already achieved something in that specific area.
Right.
For example, I have one picture with Deepak Chopra, because Deepak for me is a huge example. Like he's putting together science and spirituality, right? And
Yes.
I'm not scientist, but I try to put together sport and business. You know what I mean, right? Two
Absolutely.
different subjects. So I do it like that, and I call it vision board. And for that vision board, I have a couple of slides in PowerPoint. It's on my phone, and in the morning I watch always in the morning that vision board and saying, hey, this is what I will do today to move a little bit more my agenda.
Yes.
So that's what I do like every day. Then what I do, like with my calendar, because you somehow, this is like the big visualization, or the big goals, if you will. Okay, but if I would just watch those pictures, nothing will happen. Okay, so you need, in order to generate dopamine, what I basically do, I try really to look at least 6 months ahead. I plan really long term. Some of my activities, like the speeches or whatever, I'm rather moving it ahead, as opposed to, like, if I need to, I do it next week for sure. I have still some slots, right? But this is what I do, and then I try to really build it, and like every Sunday I do like reflection, what I did and what is there for next week, for next month. But I also look through the calendar like 3 to 6 months, what kind of the big potatoes are there. Okay, so this is what I do. I was planning when I was in Microsoft. I was really planning in a very detail. I don't do it anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
and like all my meetings and meetings like this, the online meetings are obviously in my calendar. That's for sure. But I try to have a lot of free space so I can study and so on. One tip: if you want to spend more time with your family, you need to start to plan your free time. Otherwise, you will still, and especially for the people like me or Lisa, we like so much what we do that you end up still, with some stuff. You do the work, okay, and then the family is fucked, basically. Uh, no, it is like that.
Yes, yes, you get so excited, you're wrapped up here.
Make sure you also plan your free time. And what I, for example, when Christina was still with us, my daughter, our daughter, so I said, okay, every 3 months I'll be like, for 1 week we go somewhere, and then we will have a bigger, like, 2 weeks in December together, and like 3-4 weeks, because in Germany the good thing is there was like 6 weeks vacation.
You have a lot of vacation time, yeah.
And then there was like 15 Catholic vacations, and so on. So that was really good. So that's in a nutshell. Just to say, don't overdo it. On the other hand, make sure that you have this, a balance between like big dream, and that's my phone, my slides. That's the big thing, and like day-to-day activity, because day is a good unit to manage, and to like reflect what was, because you can do every day. You can do reflect, reset, renew. That's a good technique, even for the, if you have a unit 1 year, but you can do it like every day. It's a good technique, absolutely.
Exactly. So for those of you who want to implement what Jan is talking about, you might find it easy to Google the Wheel of Life. And the Wheel of
Yeah,
Life has
that's
those sort of
great.
8 elements, and it would be, let's say, typically they can be slightly different, but it would be career, financial, friends and family, health, right? And you can do an initial assessment. So you could do right here today, you could
How
say,
much you spend there? That's a good.
yeah,
There's an American psychologist. I don't know the name. Who is the author of that? But if you put the Wheel of Life, this is it.
yes,
Yeah,
Wheel of Life. And that's a great gauge. And by the way, you could say, where am I right now? And oh, by the way, I'm doing really well financially. My career's off, but oh, my family, that's not where it needs to be, because you rate each one on a 1 to
right.
10 scale. That can already be helpful in figuring out, okay, so what might my goals be in 2025? What do I want to stop, start, continue, as we talked about earlier? So a Wheel of Life can be a good, easy, quick check-in. And you could do that once a month, once a quarter, right? At a half year mark. And it takes maybe 5 minutes. I mean, not long, but you would have something to really hold you accountable to all of the elements of life that are important to you, and making sure that you're not overboarding in one and completely ignoring something else. So we're very likely to ignore family, health, sleep when we say, oh, but I have to work so hard. Oh, but I'm in the prime of my career. But it needs to have some balance. And that's what that wheel is. So that's a really great tool to very practically figure out, how do I start this reflection? I use at the end of every day, sometime I've been not so great lately, but at the end of every day, I say, did I do my best to? And then I have a series of questions that I ask myself. Did I do my best today to do something that scares me? Did I do my best today to be loving and kind to my husband? Did I do my best today to be loving and kind to daughter one, daughter two, etc.? Right? Did I do my best to learn something new? So there's just 5, 6, 7 things. Sometimes they change, depending where I'm focusing at the moment. But exactly what Jan said, it's what holds you accountable. Once you have a big dream of where you want to go, how do you make that a daily practice? And these check-in questions, very easy, comes from Marshall Goldsmith, and they're very easy to just check in and say, did I do my best? And it focuses you. It's so easy to be like, oh, now I have to go back to work. I'm in the grind of things. Oh, this project is really busy. I'll go back to doing my self-development stuff, when things are easier. Keep yourself accountable, hold yourself to it, but only 5, 6, 7 things, not a million projects that you want to work on. Did I do my best today, if you're doing weight loss, to be aware as I was eating, to be mindful as I was eating? That's the question. That's it, right? Not did I lose weight? Was I mindful as I was eating? And I think this is really important to keep you on track. But what we haven't talked about yet is, so we said, okay, if you think about it chronologically, starting to end 2024, we end 2024 knowing, what did I want to stop, start, continue, doing some reflections, doing some wheel of life reflections, maybe starting to repair those relationships or think where you could build a solid foundation from. And then Jan hinted at this, but I want to say it explicitly. There needs to be a nervous system reset. What does that mean? Nervous system means I'm always going. It's fast. I'm overstimulated. I have a million projects. I have a lot of social media. The dopamine hits are high. The adrenaline's high. And if you want to do good, deep reflection, you got to calm everything down. Why does it have to be calm? Because if the part of your brain that's activated is the go, or I'm scared, or next I have too many things on my to-do list, you don't actually have access to the smartest, deep, most reflective part of your brain. So when you reflect, you're going to give yourself short answers. What do I want next year? I want to give a TED Talk. Done. If you can answer it in 2 seconds, means you haven't calmed down enough to really deeply reflect. Who am I? What do I value? What's important to me? And we've heard these things before. Nobody here who's listening says, I've never heard of values. Tell me, what's that? But the difference is that people don't actually follow or live by their values. Why not? They don't slow the nervous system down to get themselves to a place where they can deeply reflect and be. So the next starting point as you're getting ready for your reflections is get your body ready, get your mind ready and rested in a place where it's ready to really look. And sometimes the answers to these questions, these reflection questions, are uncomfortable. And you want that you're able to handle the uncomfortable questions, because Jan did this so nicely. He said, what did I, reflecting, I should have started 6 months ago. That's not an easy thing to say. Oh, I got this wrong. I messed this up. I made a mistake. When your nervous system is in a calm, safe, stable place, you can learn from that. You don't defend, you don't avoid, you don't beat yourself up. You accept and you make a plan to move forward. So definitely make sure you have a nervous system reset. How? Not so many electronics, not so many inputs. Don't go running around on 2-week holidays where you have 17 things planned. Have quiet time, take a bath, go to the sauna, light some candles, read a real book. Things that are not going to overwhelm so you have the time to calm.
Yeah, what Lisa talk about are activities which are putting your brain in alpha frequency, basically between
Mhm.
8 to 12 hertz. I will first comment on nervous system, and then talk a little bit about sleeping, because this is important part of that
Yes.
refreshment, if you will. Our nervous system is closely connected with our breathing, because if we are, we have two parts of the nervous system. We have, it's called sympathicus. Basically, if we are breathing in, we activating sympathicus. That's the part here. So you go to the tension, and if you are breathing out, you are releasing the tension, right? So you are basically the bottom part. It's your belly. That's why we are saying breathing into the belly, right? So that's the parasympathicus. That's where we are cooling down. So breathing is very important for us to have balance with between sympathicus and parasympathicus. Now, on sleep, there are many people who sleep less than 6 hours. Why this is dangerous? It's not dangerous one night or 2 nights or whatever, but if you do it regularly, it's quite
Regularly.
dangerous, right? Because it will have impact on your cardio, because the blood pressure is going up, and it will have an impact on your cardio system. Okay. Now, if you would sleep many nights, like four, less than 4 hours, the chances are that you may hallucinate. I will explain you why. Because if we sleep in 90-minute chunks, okay, where there are three basic parts represented: deep sleep, light sleep, and REM, rapid eye movement. That's when we have a dream. For some reason, we don't know why, Mother Nature make it happen that if we have a dreams, okay, normally, if those dreams are not nice, normally neuroadrenaline, the stress hormone, would be released. If we have those dreams, there are no stress hormones. This is the reason why, if you are like dreaming and that dream is very bad, you may be dying even, it's okay. Once you like wake up, and that's when you start to have a fear, okay, because that's when the stress hormone will start to work. But normally it's not like that. This is what the scientists think, that the mother nature, that evolution is basically manage that for our predecessors, that after they were having some fights, or they were hunting, whatever, that during the night it was like splashing out.
Yeah.
Basically, there are some experiences during that dream, but there is no emotional sticker to that experience. Okay, now what is happening when, if you hallucinate, and it doesn't matter whether you hallucinate like a human being, or sometimes artificial intelligence is hallucinating. I learned that I was coaching Petra Kvitova. I never coached Petra Kvitova, right? That I learned that my wife name is Hannah. My wife name is Radomira. All other many things were right about me and everything. But anyway, that's hallucination. So what is hallucination? Because we are not sleeping enough, our brain is taking it, and we have those dreams during the day. But unfortunately, all of those stress hormones are released already. So
Mhm.
it's like kind of the REM to be awakened. That's why it's really that if you don't sleep enough for many days, it's dangerous, right? So
Yes.
and a couple of tips, at least that work for me, quite cold in the room, like 18, 19 degrees, right? And try to go to the bed at the same time. I know I go 10:30. For somebody it's too early, but I'm getting up 6, right? Or 6,
Yeah.
6:30. So make sure you are like going to the bed at the same time and getting up more or less at the same time. So that's how you train your brain to release melatonin, which is like putting you on that alpha level, and then the gamma level, and so on. But what I try to say, sleep is very important, and now I think majority of the population is simply underestimating that part, right?
I agree. Don't forget to mention the glasses you're wearing. For those of you who are not listening but watching, the reason that Jan's wearing these tinted glasses is to cover some of the light that makes it seem like it's daytime,
Right.
because your body is very oriented to sunlight. So also a tip for sleep: in the morning, the first thing when you wake up, try to see within the first 30 minutes natural sunlight. Now, if you're in Europe and your sunrise is not until 8 a.m. and you're up at 6 like Jan and I are, then I have a sun lamp that I put on in the morning. So that first thing in the morning, I'm still seeing sun. So my body can already start that chronological time to already know that when bedtime comes, that's sleeping time, because earlier was wake time.
It's light is also important for your metabolism, because light meant, okay, I'll get some food after whatever, 30 minutes or 60 minutes, it depends, number one. And number two, if you have a light in the morning, you can concentrate much better during the day. That's what we know from science. That's why, like, for example, my athletes, they really, like, once they are up, they need to be 15, 20 minutes on sun, or at least on some light. If you are in London, you need to be like 45 minutes usually, or Seattle. I used to be in Seattle, so there was a sun, like 15 minutes in a month probably.
Exactly. You need sunlight, and you need vitamin D supplements.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good tip. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Jan and I keep talking about reflections and best practices, how to get yourself ready. The nervous system is set, your foundations are solid, your relationships are good. And now we want to, like Jan said, use the positive hormones that are in your body to get you excited and energized for your future. So once you're thinking about, what are my successes? What were the wins? This is one of the first reflection questions I ask. Most of the time, people want to default to being critical. What didn't go well? What do I need to fix? What's wrong? What do I need to improve? Nuh-uh. The place that I start with is, what was amazing this year? What were my highs? What were the highlights? How did I do extremely well? And by the way, again, very practical advice for people. What I do throughout the year is, when I get a nice email, or I get a nice handwritten note, or a nice comment in a survey, I collect all of these. I put them in an envelope. I call them my love notes. And whenever I'm feeling down throughout the year, maybe I had like a really tough client or something, I take out my love notes. But also at the end of the year, I go back and I'm like, oh my God, people said this was the best training they ever had. People said their lives have been changed. And I'm like, yeah, what I'm doing matters. What I'm doing is good. What I'm doing is impactful. Because that excitement, those wins, set me up to be like, yes, I'm so excited to learn more, to keep improving. It's the way I use my growth mindset. Of course, I'm going to get to, what do I do differently next time? But I really want to get there from the place of, this is too good not to invest more learning time into getting even better. So I start with those successes and those love notes. How about you, Jan? Do you have any practices for the successes?
Yeah, well, first of all, my mantra, like every morning, I like me, I love me, and I live in the present moment. 3 things.
That's a good
Because
one.
the thing, and you may think it's arrogant, this is not good. I tell you what I learned in my life. I will be 63 very soon, okay? Unless you like and love yourself, you cannot like and love other people. This is it, point, right? And you will be surprised how many people are not able to accept who they are. And for me, one of the reasons why I ended up with depression in mental hospital when I was 50 was that inability. Not always I was able to accept who I am, right? And obviously you need to accept who you are, as you rightly said, to move on in the future. But you need to understand who you are to figure out who you can be in the future, right? So that's this is my mantra. Okay. Then, Lisa, what I do similar to your love notes, I have like my feedback folder. So
yeah,
but I have so many photos from the different events and so on.
yes.
And even some videos like 1,000 people clapping the hands, like standing ovation, whatever. So from time to time, I review those photos. And if I have really time, like 2 hours, I review even photos like 20 years ago when I was somewhere with the Bill Gates and the Microsoft leadership team, what we did and so on. So I really like remind, my way, where I was and where I am. Because the problem with the brain is that our amygdala, the uh, our monkey part of our brain is jumping always on the last thing which was not going well, right? And you have so many good things in your life, so you can bombard that amygdala by the good thing what happened. It's just like logically to say, hey, but this is one particular thing. Because I just put some reel on Instagram saying that failure is not failure is a one chapter in your life. It's not the whole book of your life, right? That's what
Exactly.
I basically said in that reel. And this is it. Because you need to have ability to really learn fast from your mistakes and recover and move on. Because the problem is that people are so much attached to the past, especially to the negative past. Okay, if you lost the game, right, or if you lost your job, whatever, come on. If you lost the job, some doors are closed, but many others are maybe open because of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was necessary that I was not fired, but I closed the doors after 22 years in Microsoft. I closed the doors, but so many new doors open that I would not change it now. And now, right, I like my job, all jobs in Microsoft, and it was a great time to be there, but it was a time to move on, and that's exactly what I did.
Yes. And I think it's so important what you say, because as you reflect on the year, no matter how bad it was, no matter how spectacularly you failed, failure actually doesn't really stop you from being successful going forward. And whenever I'm feeling like, oh, I made this mistake, I don't know what I'm going to do, I just think of like, people who have failed much worse than I have and how they've come back even
Yeah,
stronger. So you think, obviously, the obvious one, Steve Jobs was fired from his company, right? Then he left, and then they pulled him back to Apple, and he skyrocketed and made Apple big. But even think about Donald Trump. He was, after his first term, he was not reelected. He was then, accused of various crimes. He was convicted everybody said he's old. They said all these bad things about him. And he didn't let those get to him. He believed in himself. He kept going. He kept his eyes focused on where he wanted to go regardless. And now he's been elected to second term. I think of Adam Neumann from WeWork. I mean, WeWork spectacularly exploded, and hundreds of millions lost. SoftBank was it was a whole story. If you don't know this story, by the way, go back. It makes a great movie at some point. Good drama. It turned out he wasn't running the company well. He was, fell from grace. And almost immediately thereafter, he went quiet for a moment. Then almost immediately after 6 months, a year, 2 years, he went back. He was funded for 100 million or something like that for another venture. He thought, oh, now that WeWork's not doing so well, maybe I'll go ahead and buy it and rescue the company. I mean, he just kept moving forward, and he moved forward to success, success, success. So I always think to myself, the only difference between the people who fail and let that failure hold them back is that they don't recommit to their goals and keep moving forward despite what's being said. They let what's being said, or they let the internal dialogue hold them back. That's the only thing that is what is making failure actually make you fail. So get out of your own way. Don't listen to other people, and you keep staying focused, and that success will continuously come for you. If they can do it, you can do it. Right?
No, absolutely. You know what? If you take like venture capitalists, right? Only 1 out of the 10, startups would succeed. So the chances are like 10%. But guess what? The other people, they just learn and they move, and at some point in the future, They probably succeed if they endure. If they will, if there's endurance enough, they will succeed. I think the main reason why people are not succeeding, because they are not able to basically continue, right? Because they are like giving up too soon, because and plus they take other people too seriously, right?
They
Because
take their voice and others.
if people are saying nobody did it yet, in the world, your mindset should be, I'll be the first one. Come on.
Exactly. Why not me?
Yeah. I think there are actually not that many people who were that high on business and succeeded on mental coaching in sport. And also when I started to coach those athletes, a lot of coaches were saying there's no way you can succeed. Okay. And there was last time in Tokyo there were 2 medals. Now there were 5 medals. Right? So from my guys, they deliver. So
Exactly.
it is about like, hey, if you have some vision and you believe in that vision, because look, that's the same thing with self-awareness. Vision is the picture of the world which does not exist yet, but you believe in that picture. But you need to believe to persuade other people, because Bill Gates first needed to believe, hey, PC will be at every desk, before other people started to believe in that vision, right? Or Steve Jobs, the same way, right? So this is it. But and usually those people, they've got also good communication skills, like Gandhi or Martin Luther King, to tell the story, the vision. They put the vision into the story, and somehow they persuade other people that it makes sense to follow. That's why they are called leaders, because they have some followers. Today, if you look into the politics, there are almost no followers. There are voters, but I also voted for some parties, but I don't believe them anymore. It will be for me, it will be very tough to decide for whom should I vote next election. Anyway.
Yes. Politics is a whole different ballgame. But I do I really want to go with what you're saying here, because this visioning, this visualizing, this manifesting of what's possible, I want people, once you start to limit yourself, to have ways out of limiting yourself. So for example, first things first, as soon as you say, I can't, the immediate thing you should think is not I can't, how can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not I can, I can't, could I, should I, what? I can, how can I? What are the practical steps? How I do? So that kind of shift gets you from amygdala, monkey brain, I can't, I'm afraid, what if, what are they going to say? No, how can I? I am committed, I will make that happen. I am creative, I am resourceful, I will learn, I will grow, I will make it happen. How can I do that? What's the step? That goes to the smart part of your brain. So really visualizing, what do I want to be possible? Even if it feels crazy big, sometimes I coach very ambitious entrepreneurs, and they say, I envision being a billionaire. I said, perfect. Don't worry that your company's only making a few million, 10 million, 20,
Right.
30, 40 million. Now, don't say, oh, but then my vision is 50 million. No, what are the steps to think bigger? What's the way to go even farther? And that's part of breaking your own limits. When I'm talking to people about setting their goals, so when you're thinking about setting 2025 goals, it doesn't have to be incremental. Most people think, okay, I want to get a new job. What if you just blew up what was possible and you said, I want to create something totally bigger, newer. I want to create my own company. I want to start a not-for-profit. Like, don't worry about the logistics just yet. Really think.
And I tell you one thing, I love, exponential. And there is a new exponential, which is 5 times steeper than the classical, IT exponential, the Moore law, and that's artificial intelligence. This is a new huge opportunity. Then there'll be changes, like when they brought internet in 90s, that will be the same right now. So there's a huge opportunity, and when there is a disruption almost, the money is moving, much faster, and that's why you can go incremental, right, like step by step, 10%. It will take like 7 years to double your revenue by 10%. It's okay. Or you can really think, hey, how can I, double in a year, right? How can I make it, exponential, right? How can
Exactly.
how, because some people think, okay, I may do, Germany or Poland or Switzerland or whatever. If you wanted to have a really successful business, you need to go public and you need to be global today. And to go global, it's tougher, but it's easier because of the internet and because of the online. It's all about, good thoughts and creative thoughts, creative ideas, right? So, and
Exactly.
again, there will be huge disruption in economy because of the AI, and it will be, to me, it will be much bigger than what was internet disruption 30 years ago. That's my viewpoint.
I'm with you on that. And that's why everyone who says, oh, but I can't, I don't have time, I don't have resources, I'm like, you have a GPT, you have AI that can help you with every single piece of where you want to go. Don't think about what was possible in the past and what you could do or what you could get. Think about what's possible in the future. It is a fundamentally different game. So the question I want you all to be asking yourself is, what is one big, bold leap I would want to take, I would wish to take? What's one big thing that would always be, something of interest to me, whether it's personal, whether it's professional, whether it's a bucket list item? Just start to think, not how do I stay within what I already know? How do I break out? How do I fundamentally change what I'm thinking about with my life? Don't worry about the logistics just yet. Don't let the fear hold you back from it yet. First, visualize big. Then you can break it down into steps and goals, and we can find a way. It doesn't mean you have to do it tomorrow, but you should not be limiting yourself. You should always be expansive in your thinking about what's possible.
I agree.
I also always every year think about, how do I make my life easier? What am I going to say no to more often in the next year so that I have more time to say yes to the things I love and the priorities I want? What am I going to say no to? I ask myself about the lazy principle. How can I do some of the things that I'm doing? Like, how can I do less of it? How can I do it in an easier way? How can I outsource some of it so that someone else can do it? I'm constantly thinking, how do I do less so that I can then take on the more? So it's really important to also just think about reallocation of resources, if you want to call it that. So some of the thinking that I do every year, again, I'm different from someone who's employed. I
Mm.
run my own business, but I think to myself every year, how do I increase my revenue or my profit and decrease my efforts? So how do I basically earn more and work less or do less? And every year I try to find a new way to make that model work for me, right? And it's not always just raising the rates, right? There are other things that I can do. But this is the fundamental picture that I have in my mind. How do I earn more by doing less? This gives me freedom. This gives me my ability to have time to set aside for learning or development, or business development, meeting new people, that I have the time. I'm not so busy running the business. I'm really looking at expanding what's new, what's possible, what's next. So many people are stuck in the small day to day, and your reflections for 2025 should be about going even bigger. Before we wrap up today, because we only have about 5 minutes, Jan,
Yeah.
I just want to check in. If anybody who's listening live wants to ask a question, wants to, share
Maybe
a
share, maybe
goal,
share some of your best practices. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I would love that this becomes a learning
Ask the
community,
question. Yeah,
or someone who wants to be coached live and says, I'm stuck, or this is where I
yeah.
don't know where to go. These last few minutes can be yours. The other question that I always ask myself as we're waiting, if someone comes
Right.
in, how do I make sure that my actions, my plans, what I'm doing aligns with my values and my life purpose? Now, I'm a weird one. My number one value, one and close number two, is freedom and family. Achievement, financial success, stability, all that stuff comes later. I care freedom and family. So when I'm running my business, that's why I'll be traveling for 3 months this year. I think, how do I set up a business so that I have maximum flexibility and freedom? I don't say, how do I maximize profits only, right? At the expense of family, at the expense of my freedom. I say, how do I maximize that? So, how do I get good business to support the freedom and the flexibility and the family time that I want? So most of the times people don't actually think, what are my most important values and how can I rearrange my life to be around what's most important to me? Most people put financial stability on top, not because it's actually the most important, but because it's the thing that causes them the most fear or anxiety.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I would say to you all, of course, we all need to be able to live and you want to put a roof over your head. But beyond that, how, if you could get past fear, if you had financial stability, let's say it was there, then what would you do? Then what would life look like? What would go next? And start from that basis to plan your 2025. Any last words of wisdom from you, Jan?
Yeah, no, Lisa is absolutely right. I'm getting a lot of questions always whenever I do some interview. How comes that the guy from small country and I was brought up I was living in the village up to the 20 years, old. How comes that I work with, Bill Gates? I was successful with a large company. I think you need to have a courage. And to me, courage, it's not like I was not born with the courage. Not, I mean, yeah, I think I was as everybody else. But to get courage and more courage, you need to believe in yourself and in your thoughts and in your people. And you need to develop the people so they are really like, you know what? I was good in like putting together good strategy, good vision, and make other people crazy to believe in that vision and implement that vision. And this is the same like today. I mean, the guy I coach, Joseph Dostal, he never won Olympic Games. He was already on 3 Olympic Games. He was a European champion, world champion many times, never won Olympic Games. So it was a project for like 6 months to make it happen. But I really, since the beginning, I said, let's work. And this is, I'll give you the best thing I've got after those 10 years, what I'm coaching, top athletes. And it happened. So you need to really, because a lot of people have visions but you need to believe in that vision and walk your talk basically, right? Because it's a nice blah blah blah, all bullshit bingo, but you really need to walk the talk and to connect long-term vision with like short-term progress. And you know what, some other people, when I was a kind of the marketing specialist, I was not even general manager yet. I studied like all numbers and everything, different Microsoft subsidiaries and so on. Other guys, when I was like 32, 33 years old, other guys probably were like drinking whatever. I was drinking a lot when I was at university,
you got it all out of the system.
I did my part. Right? But so, and I really, love it. And it was the best preparation for the big job. And I never put any like limitation. I said, I will, there is a journey and I will go to that, journey. So it is about courage, but, you will get more courage if you really believe in what you do and you persuade other people, because that's about leadership. Leadership, it's not about what you have on the business card. I mean, I've got nice business cards. Leadership, it's about people following you. Why? Because they believe in what you believe. This is the reason, right? Because human beings, you cannot be, you can train dogs, you can be a leader for the dogs, but they are trained, it's all automatic. But human beings, they have imagination and memory, okay? And this is the way you can, it's called inspiration. You can inspire people. That vision should give them, energy to get to the flow using their best strengths and so on. And that's the way how you create, winning team. I remember at the beginning when I was running Central Institute, when we changed the way how we develop people, we simply throw away the competency toolkit because it was based on weaknesses. Because at that time, Microsoft would say those are like four, weakest competencies. So it will be your, development plan for the next fiscal year. Okay, and that he was not performing very well. So we changed it. We said, let's work on your strengths. Let's figure out first who you are. Then you can figure out who you can be, and it worked. So
Yes. I can't believe it. We're always have so much to talk about, and we're almost out of time. We maybe have a topic.
Nick, great tools to adopt from this session. Maybe I would have a topic for 2025, which I will share later with you. But let me say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, my darlings.
We're always very happy.
Everybody, and a nice, holidays. Have a great holidays. Take a well-deserved rest, and we are looking forward to see you next year.
Exactly. Relax, reset, refocus. If you have great ideas for topics, get in touch with us. We're here for you. We'd love to do anything you want to hear.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.